is the Wednesday night main event on All Sports 1360. Homer, we're the only station with the balls to talk professional wrestling. Now, let's go ringside with former professional wrestler and instructor Les Thatcher.
All right, we're back to the second hour of Wednesday night main event here on Thanksgiving Eve. Got a couple of hot guests for you in just a moment. First, Patrick, let's run down the upcoming area events.
All right, every Tuesday night, Danny Davis, Ohio Valley Wrestling, runs events at the Louisville Gardens featuring stars from the OVW, HWA, WWF, and more. Bell time at 7:30 p.m.
That's right. And this Saturday night, November the 28th, the Hamilton, Ohio National Guard Army, bell time 7:30 p.m. HWA presents a special Thanksgiving card featuring a 12-man roulette battle royal. Elimination from the royal will determine the pairings in the following 6 bouts.
Saturday, December 5th, Blanchester, Ohio at the FOE Hall. 7:30 is the bell time. 6 big matches with HWA stars Chip Fairway, The Expert, Guy Quebec, Matt Stryker, Sean Casey, and others.
And Saturday, December the 12th, Xenia, Ohio, the National Guard Army, 7:30 p.m., 6 great HWA matches featuring Tarek the Great, GQ Masters III, Scorpion, Brian Gilbert, Aston, Augustus, Ambrose, Esquire, The Extremist, Shark Boy, and more.
Saturday, December 26th, at the Hamilton, Ohio National Guard Army, a Super Christmas card. Bell time, 7:30 p.m.
You were had trouble spitting that one out.
Debbie, you're right.
Okay, take a drink. Wet your tongue.
All right.
There you go. Those are all the little gimmicks they teach you guys in broadcasting school, right?
That's the truth.
All right, we still don't have the franchise with us. He's supposed to be giving us a call. His cell phone's dead. He's supposed to be checking in someplace and calling us. But however, we do have 2 other graduates from the Dom DiNucci wrestling camp. And 2 guys are becoming real regulars on Wednesday night main event, which is just great for me. The one guy is our official referee for Wednesday night main event, plus the referee for WCW, Mark Curtis. And a man who I've never seen anyone wield a leaf blower like this guy, my friend Mick Foley. You guys out there?
I'm here for you, lad.
All right. Shane called me before I left the gym to come down here, said his cell phone was running out of gas.
That sounds like a line.
You know what I told him when he finally got me? I said, listen, it's all right to hate me, but you hate Mick too? We both got the wrong phone number. So, well, they changed the area code. They changed my phone number too. He said, now this thing's run out of gas. But he called me. It was just about 9 o'clock. I was just leaving the gym. He said, the 4th match is in the ring, and I'm 8th. I'll give you a call as soon as I get someplace and get settled in. So we are still waiting.
And you may be for a while.
And you may be right. Listen, the first thing I want to ask both of you guys, in no particular order, is the big news this week on the internet, and from what I understand, a few people I've talked to, that there's some credence to this, that supposedly tomorrow night on Jay Leno's show, Hulk Hogan is going to announce his retirement.
Mick, I'll let you go first.
Oh, now, is he announcing his retirement as of now, or is this like a Atsushi Onita type of retirement?
Or Terry
Funk retirement, yeah.
Yeah, right. Sometime within the next century, right?
I know, I mean, because I think... maybe I was talking to you, Les, about it. You said, I guess his feelings were genuinely hurt when projections for the last pay-per-view were way off the mark.
Yeah.
And, maybe he feels like he doesn't matter anymore. If that's the case, that's one thing. If it's another case, if he says, all right, I'm retiring, and, they're going to have the farewell tour. But actually, I think the farewell tour was something that Vince McMahon wanted to do for him, several years ago that he didn't feel he was ready for.
Well, here's something I heard, too. I talked to somebody in WCW yesterday, and they told their exact comment to me was, listen, I've been told that he is going to announce his retirement. Now, it's not to say somebody's not pulling my leg or they're not working some kind of deal, but that's what the office there has been told.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, if he's even saved a little bit of the money he's made, he shouldn't have to work ever again. Some people would say he stopped working about 8 years ago.
Or never started, maybe.
Either that, or he's probably got enough money to support him and all of his friends. He's gotten jobs for over the years.
That's true, yeah. I mean, if Beefcake and those guys were just like giving him a small percentage of the money they unrightfully earned, then he should be okay.
But also at the same time, from what I understand, Hulk still has 2 more years on his contract, so...
But still, you're allowed
which bars him going from anywhere, really.
Yeah, but I mean, that doesn't prevent him from retiring, right?
Right.
Well, now here's another scenario I heard, that he's going to go with Rupert Murdoch and Fox and start a third federation. But now you're talking about that contract. I can't now. Mick, you've got a contract.
Right.
If you were to call Vince today and said, "I'm going to retire," would he just tear up that contract, or would he'd say, "Okay, fine, Mick, you're not going to wrestle anymore"? Of course, he's not going to pay anymore. But would that contract, in terms of the time, be valid if you decide to come back and wrestle again?
Well, I told him at one point that I was leaving to start for the renegade promotion Heartland Wrestling.
He laughed at you, right?
No, I don't think he would tear it up. Well, I was in a point after King of the Ring where I was considering maybe hanging it up. That maybe I've been lucky to get as far as I had. And at that point, I don't think they can stop you from physically wrestling. If you say, "Look, I've had it," I mean, Hogan is an older guy now. He can, I don't think they can stop him, but surely they can stop him from starting a third wrestling promotion.
Well, yeah, I would think, but now, devious old SOB that I am, and after 39 years of all this chicanery that you both know so well yourselves,
right.
I'm thinking this. We're watching the downgrading of Nitro to a certain degree. I think Mark and I were talking earlier this evening that probably this past Monday night was the best Nitro I'd seen in a month or 6 weeks. But it's almost like maybe they're self-destructing. Then I got to thinking about this thing. Well, what if indeed not only Hogan is planning on going, and the guy who he works for in WCW says, "Why, sure, we'll tear your contract up." But when Hogan goes to Murdoch, when is Bischoff's contract up?
I don't know.
And
I think he's got another 4 or 5 years.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, you'd know better than either one of us, but you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Is that maybe maybe he'd be jumping ship with him to run this new deal and get more free reign or whatever.
Actually, I'm all for another federation. They've got more guys work to another place to go.
Well, you know what? You got a lot of time in your hands. Mick's got a lot of money.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Jim Cornette tried it at one point.
Well, Brian, that's because I remarked just because he went the wrong way. I've become, after my Dude Love videotape when I was a kid, I've become like the guru of all backyard wrestling associations. And we'll just bring it from backyard to backyard around the country.
There you go.
There's no ring set up. The guys certainly don't want to be paid. We don't have to cover medical or anything.
No.
Hey, that'll work.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know, Les. Are the independents doing better now that wrestling is alive and well?
I think so. I think what you guys are giving us a trickle-down effect. I think that's true. I think that our houses have picked up, and from what I understand with everybody else. Well, I want to tell you the truth now. Last week, not last Tuesday, not last night, a week ago Tuesday, Danny Davis opened in Louisville Gardens. And he's got his little half-hour TV show that he produces himself. Well, now, wait a minute. Before I go any further, he opened up the doors for free the first night.
Right.
Okay, but all he was expecting, because now the history there is, USWA was drawing limited crowds.
Sure.
Mike Samples was drawing virtually nothing. And then Music City actually pulled out of there because they couldn't seem to pop it. But anyway, he was saying, okay, fan appreciation. I know you people have been jerked around here in this town. I want you to see our product firsthand before you ever have to pay a dime. He told me about 2 weeks before that, he said, if I can get 500-600 people in there. They had 1,600 people show up.
That's great.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what he did last night when he charged, but if he got a third of those people back to start the ball rolling and gives them good matches and a good show, there's a chance of him building back. But I'm thinking that's in part to do, with the Monday Night Wars and wrestling being so red hot at this point in time.
Yeah, think about it. Look at the WCW roster. They just have so many guys that are, they're not making much use of. I mean, WWF, it doesn't seem like the roster's as thick, but when you start looking at the booking sheet, there's an awful lot of guys there too. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many untapped guys are there out there? Remember, Mark, when we were with DiNucci, there was always talk of a third promotion coming in.
Right, Merv Griffin.
Merv Griffin or Mike Douglas, one or the other. Merv Griffin, yeah, that was it. Yeah, I mean, we used to, as independent guys, we used to, sit there and just hope, maybe even pray for these new wrestling promotions. Yeah, that might be nice if it came about. I don't know. Personally, I think the odds are against it, but if Rupert Murdoch has the money and he certainly doesn't like Ted, I always thought maybe Vince
and I'm
would.
sure he'll learn to love Vince.
Yeah. I thought I always wondered why Vince didn't work out some kind of deal with him, or maybe that is in the works.
Yeah, you never know, right?
That is the works, and it's just all being hidden.
It could be, but I don't see Hulk Hogan right now as the guy to lead a new promotion.
I don't either.
I mean, I'm not bad-mouthing him, because first off, he throughout his career he's done a lot of work with children. Second off, from what I understand, he said nice things about me. And third, I used to watch the guy, at the Garden. I paid money to see him, and he was an entertaining guy. To tell you the truth, I wish I could have wrestled him once, just so I could have said I did it.
Well, on my hand, I have nothing bad to say about the guy because, number one, he's been very, very supportive of me since my illness.
Right.
I mean, even more so than most people would even imagine. And, to sit here and be sick as a dog, and all of a sudden the phone rings and it's, Terry Bollea on the other line saying, "Hey, brother, how's it going? You feeling okay?" That was just like a tremendous lift to me.
Yeah.
But also, like you, Mick, I remember going to see him. As a matter of fact, one of the first times I met Jim Cornette was like in 1979. This was in Memphis, Tennessee. And the semi-main event was Terry the Hulk Boulder and Ed Boulder, who is Hulk and Beefcake,
right,
against Outlaw Ron Bass and Wildman Pete Austin, managed by Danny Davis. So I got to meet him way back when.
Right.
When he had the atomic bomb shaved on his chest with his chest hair.
Right.
So actually, we go back. I mean, we're not on first name basis or anything, but it goes back that far. But I have nothing bad to say about him. Some of the things, I think at a point, he's got to look out for himself, but also at the same time, even I was starting to get a little tired of seeing so much of him on TV.
Yeah, I mean that was a little much.
Well, I think I mentioned
almost as much as I'm starting to of Dallas Page, but and every other word is scum.
Yeah. Well, I caught the show. Listen, Mark, I know you work there, and I don't want to do anything, put your job in jeopardy. This is just my opinion. It reminded me of when the AWA show came on when I was in college, and doggone it, I'd have to make up my mind to get through those 2 hours.
Oh.
I mean, I really felt like I was struggling to get through it. It just, like I said, I'm not, compared to shows of the past, it's a very well done show, and I really enjoyed Kidman and Guerrero, and I really like Malenko and Brett, but overall it just seems like it's hard to watch. It's hard to get through.
Here's the scary thing, Mick, is that was, like Les and I were talking, that was the best show that they put on in over 2 or 3 months.
What were the ratings on that?
4.7. You guys had a 5.
Well, they did a 4.7 though.
Yeah,
so we're catching up there.
Wow, what would be considered their big? Was it Giant and?
I thought the Flair Bischoff angle was
Flair Bischoff, Giant Goldberg, Nash Goldberg.
Let me jump in here, you guys. Now you mentioned Giant Goldberg. We had a listener call in the first hour, and he said, "I am so tired of seeing Goldberg choke slam or slam the Giant." He said, get him somebody else for him to beat. But, this guy's made a point. How many times has Goldberg beaten the Giant on television?
And how many times has the same, and I work for the company, but, I can call a spade. How many times can you see the same 4 guys fight each other for the Cruiserweight belt? Now, mind you, they're having the best matches, on the show.
Right.
But also at the same time, it starts getting a little bit old. That's the reason why I was happy to see like Bobby Duncan Jr. come in, because my word, it's a different face. It's a fresh face that nobody's seen before.
Yeah.
And the same with Bigelow.
Yeah, and I think that angle was good, and maybe that's what helped jump the ratings a little bit this week. Guys, we're going to have to take a break. Hold that thought. We'll be back with Mick Foley, Mark Curtis, and more. Wednesday night main event here on All Sports 1360. Homer.
Back on Wednesday night's main event. I'm Patrick Black, along with the legend himself, Les Thatcher. We are with our very special guests, Mick Foley from WWF and Mark Curtis from WCW. 749-1360 or star 1360 on Ameritech. And yes, J-Core does pick up your 35 cents, Doc. Let's open up the phone lines. Let's go to Mike from Dayton, Kentucky on line 2. Mike, you're on All Sports 1360. Homer.
Hey, Mick.
Yeah.
I was wondering, if Vince don't want the leaf blower, can I have it?
Is what?
If Vince doesn't want the leaf blower, could he have it?
I don't know. I grew kind of fond of that leaf blower. Why? You got some decaying leaf matter?
Yeah.
You know what happens if you don't take care of that, right?
Yeah, it could get all disgusting up like McMahon's yard.
Yeah, it's going to be the laughing stock of Greenwich this spring. Yeah, I think, but the leaf blower, I don't think people had ever used it as a weapon before, and I think it was attractive and suitable for children. So I don't know if I can get you that leaf blower, buddy, to tell you the truth. But I hear Terry Funk's got a chainsaw for sale.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That'll work. Mike, you got any other questions for Mick?
Yeah, Mick.
Yeah.
Could you mention my name on Raw?
Okay. How about if I mention it on Les Thatcher's radio show?
Hmm?
Would that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone, I want to say hello to my new friend Mike. And Mike, thanks for calling.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. You know, how can a guy so vicious and violent be so sweet to kids? I don't even know. Listen, I want to tell you something before we go any farther here. Monday morning, I was on my way from the house to the gym, and I had 1360 on, listening to the morning guy here, and they went to commercial, and I hear this new liner come up, and all of a sudden this guy says, and I put thumbtacks in my foreskin. I said, what? I'm messing with the dial of my... Who is this? It's on my radio.
Oh, okay, yeah, the line.
Yes.
So they used the outtake, huh?
Yes, they did.
Oh, that was supposed to be far ahead.
I know, that's what they told me. Because I said to Jason here, who's running the board tonight, I said, did you write those liners? And he said, well, it's supposed to have been forehead. I said, it's all right.
Well, do you hear me say, oh, wait a second, like I realized?
Oh, yeah, that's on there, too. And then who was it? Regal was in there or something? He said, I said foreskin. Or something like that.
Man, I hope are they going to keep it on there for a while?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah.
They pushing the envelope there.
The X-Rated Mankind Show with Les Thatcher.
It was an honest mistake.
I'll tell you what everybody's talking about, though, and I'm thinking maybe we could do an album. You and D-Lo singing He's a Man's Man.
It is catchy, isn't it?
It is.
Man, I just, it makes me mad because I've got the worst music in our company.
No.
I
like your music.
Do you really?
Yeah.
But it doesn't really get people up and dancing or moving or cheering. You know what? Honestly, I look at it this way. Mark, fans today, there's a lot of them, who are watching wrestling for the first time, that have not seen a match before this year, and they don't necessarily know that, you and I wrestled in Poco, West Virginia in front of 16 people. They don't really know about paying dues. What they know is...
Well, neither do the boys.
No, most of them don't. But what they know is like Pavlov's dog type responses.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody has a cool thing, that's, not to take Al Snow because Al Snow's a friend of mine. He's a good wrestler. He's probably got a break. But when you hear someone say, what does everybody want? Now everyone gets to play cheerleader. They get to be involved. It's
right.
the thing when, Road Dogg does his little deal and everyone gets to cheer along. And a lot of people will confuse that with being over.
Right.
And I'm just afraid that I've got this music that's kind of morbid and slow, and I thought was appropriate when I was a guy scaring young children when I was wrestling Undertaker, but it just doesn't feel right,
Yeah, but look at it this way. At least now, you don't have that Pavlov dog, tagline that everybody goes along with.
Right.
And you're over because of your work, not because of some cool catchphrase.
Yeah, but now what if I added a cool catchphrase to that?
But being able to work and being over for it is kind of unique in this day and age.
Well, you know what? Well, yeah, I feel like I can have good matches. But truth is, when I pull out Mr. Sacco, I get a better response than for anything I've done in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thankful because it's going to add a couple of years to my career probably, or at least another 6 months. But it's in some way you say, hey, this is great. They're going nuts for the sock. In other ways, you're saying, well, why didn't I think of this, about 11 years ago?
It probably wouldn't have worked 11
No,
years
you're
ago.
right. Probably part of the reason it does work is because I have done some, Austin saw me the other day when I was wearing the shoes. Did you see the Sunday night the interview? And he goes, you're the only guy in the business who can get away with that. And he said, I mean that as a compliment. So I was like, wow, thanks. Because I guess if Steve went out there with it wearing the evening loafers, it probably wouldn't,
It wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't work so well for him. So, yeah, I guess it makes a nice juxtaposition, so to say.
Mark, you see if you agree with me on this. I was telling somebody yesterday, because I had told Mick, the live embalming didn't do it for me. I think that was one toke over the line, if you will. But they said, well, somebody said, well, Mankind did the leaf blower, or he does. I said, let me say this. So I think with Mick, he'll do something like that. It's so natural, or like the pedicure. But then he turns around and comes back and gives you a 4-star performance in the ring, physically and technically, which basically nullifies the comedy. And where some of these guys do the goofy stuff and can't make the transition, and go in the ring and give you a good show.
Right.
Well, what I'm hoping for is that during one of my matches that the audience will experience every emotion except sexual arousal. and who knows, there may be a couple of sickos out there that feel that way too.
Hey, your friend that called us last week with the mask on called this week and said, I don't have the mask.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, he was embarrassed, humiliated.
Mick, if you want to, Jason, our producer, says he can play the promo that you made last week.
The foreskin one?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I would like to hear
Mark, listen to this.
Hello, this is Mankind from the World Wrestling Federation. I have been wrapped in barbed wire, Irish whipped into a bed of nails, and had tack stuck in my foreskin. Sorry. Ow, this is Dude Love, Mankind, Cactus Jack, and we all agree that this Wednesday, the Wednesday night main event here, 10 p.m. to midnight every Wednesday on All Sports 1360. Tack stuck in my foreskin. Homer.
We have the only X-rated tape of Mankind in existence.
Yeah, that was... Well, how do you know that, Les?
Well, maybe we don't. You mean there's a sequel?
There's this tape running around out there of me, Mark,
I don't know, Tony Nardo's sister down there in...
Not me. Now, what's amazing, this... Tony's... chances are he's not listening to the show right now. But Tony's sister, she was a nice enough girl. Fairly attractive, but just the fact that we were all a bunch of, losers there at the camp whose whole entire lives were dedicated to either wrestling, watching wrestling, or dreaming about wrestling. All of a sudden, Moondog Tony Nardo's sister came in. It was like all the guys were drooling. Not me, but it drove...
Oh, yeah, no.
Not me, no. It drove ring announcer Hank Hudson into a frenzy.
Well, not only him, how about Dave Klebanski?
Dave Klebanski, Crusher Klebanski, that's right. And they're going nuts over him. Les, at one time, this guy, Tony Nardo, he was 5'8", about 270.
Oh, my God.
And at the time, I was still 6'4", but I was about 235 at that time. And Dominic wanted to make us the new Moondogs. It would look like Laurel and Hardy out there.
Well, Tony did.
Yeah.
With Buddy Donovan there.
That's true, yeah. But, I skipped out of that one somehow. I think it was actually Shane Douglas that spoke up for me.
Where is that damn Shane at anyway?
I don't know. He's working on his 7th doctorate, I believe.
He's got that Chris Candido and polyitis.
Hey, you know what's... You guys know what's out on the website now?
What?
That Chris and Tammy got fired from ECW.
For what?
For no showing or something. But I can't believe that.
I don't believe that.
There's more goofs in that than that Paul has hired and never fired, for God's sakes. But that was something that I was told today. Somebody that's out on somebody's website.
I have no idea.
I don't either. I really don't. I was hoping that we get Shane on here, we could find this, because I didn't hear that until I got up here. So I was hoping we might find either confirmed.
But just the fact that may have happened. Isn't that reason enough to never get a wrestling associated gimmick tattoo on your body?
Yes.
What are these guys? Shane's a bright guy. What is he thinking getting a triple threat tattoo?
Right.
That's just, what was I going to get, a stud stable tattoo in 1988? And
the scary thing is what would the tattoo be of?
What's that?
What would the tattoo be of? One of Colonel Parker's appendages?
Life-size appendage.
Yeah,
would run from my lower back up over my shoulder.
Yeah.
And then, I like being a member of Devastation Incorporated and Sullivan Slaughterhouse, but, you know, I just when the guys started doing that, I was like, what are they thinking? I would always tell a younger guy, you know, it was like the pit bulls had a pit bull tattoo, and Bull Power, you know the guy I'm talking about, right?
Leon White?
No, not Leon White, the other guy.
Bull Payne.
Bull Payne. He'd have his Bull Payne tattoo, and that must have been half a dozen other guys. I'd say, guys, what are you thinking? You know, there may come a time when someone wants to use you but doesn't want a pit bull or a Bull Payne, you know? I mean, if you're going to do that, I mean, you know, put it in some private area where it's just your little thing. I don't know, or make a painting, but don't tattoo it on your body.
Well, but I guess they can cover that up because Raph got his Atom Bomb one covered.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I don't know how the heck they did it.
Well, there's another example. It shouldn't have had even been covered because he never should have gotten it.
Right.
You know?
But I guess somebody talked him into it.
I don't know.
See, here's the soft side of the hardcore legend, Mick Foley.
Well, I just, you know...
I agree with you, though. I don't have a tattoo and don't want one. Thank you.
Well, it's like Nicolas Cage, the actor. Didn't he get his front teeth pulled for a role? Now, never mind the fact that, you know, I didn't make any money until I lost my front teeth. But, you know, that's going a little bit overboard.
Well,
you know?
sure. Well, how about Gangrel's fangs?
Yeah, but he's been like that for the last 10 years. You know,
before he made 50 cents, right?
Yeah.
And besides, you need a weapon being married to Luna.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Well, that Mark's sharp. We should do a stand-up routine with him. You know something? We were talking, Mick, you know, about DiNucci's last week again, and you know something that Al, when he was on the show, brought up, and I think I'd like to hear, you know, some feedback from you guys. But I always tell my kids that I'm training, you know, I get up in the morning. This is my 39th year in this business. I get up in the morning and I have a passion for this business. I love this business. I love what I do, and I think that, and the guys that I respect in this business, the two of you included, I think are exactly that same mindset. Am I right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, and don't you feel that's what it takes actually to excel in this? I mean, forget your physical talents or your glib tongue or whatever. You've got to have a passion for the business.
Les, I haven't enjoyed wrestling in about 5 years.
Is that right?
No, I'm just kidding. I just thought I'd break a news story. See if that shows up on the internet. No, yeah. You know, there was, you know...
You'll be getting a call from...
Well, maybe they'll say that, maybe tomorrow they'll say the next announcement Hogan's going to make that Mick Foley's retiring, going to run as vice president on the same ticket.
Yeah. You know, it's tough when you're wrestling year round. I mean, there was a time, I guess, like 9-10 months ago when I wasn't liking it as much. You know, the new audience had come in, and you know, I hadn't adapted to them, I guess, and it just seemed like, especially there was an interview I gave after the King of the Ring, and I was pretty much shooting from the hip, or very much shooting from the hip about how it wasn't worth it, you know, and you know, Cactus Jack or Mick Foley wasn't just gonna, you know, explode one day. He was little by little gonna fall apart until there's nothing left of him, and nobody was really gonna give a damn. And I'll tell you, since that interview, I mean, so many people have made it a point, you know, whether this be a guy walking up to me in an airport and shaking my hand and saying, "I appreciate you, man." I mean, I've heard that word "appreciate," you know, more times than I can count, and it was that's the way I felt at the time, though, that there was a new audience that couldn't appreciate guys who'd actually, you know, busted their butts for 13 years and had to, you know, lived on the peanut butter sandwiches. Like, that was like, you were like an idiot to have ever felt that way about wrestling.
But don't you think this, the fans today, we're talking about this response thing, they're not so much into the person like the fans from the territory days, right?
Yeah.
You know, and where those people, if you got sick or you got hurt, man, you got cards, phone calls, they sent you cookies, the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah, it's hard. You know, I think that's why with my thing, I think there's enough of them out there that can understand that it does make it worthwhile. The second thing is, let's face it, you know, more people in the stands means more money. You know, I'd be an idiot to bail out after working a long time to get where I am. And the third thing is, I have adapted, and it is fun. It's a lot of fun. The other thing that I think I realize is that once wrestling cools down, which it will eventually, I mean, let's hope it lasts another 3-5 years, but once it cools down, there's going to be a call for people who can get over the old-fashioned way.
Right.
And there's not that many of them out there. At that time, there won't be that many of them out there. So I look at it like, you know, sure, I'm kind of doing a different thing. You know, my interviews, that I do in WWF are not even close to what I was doing when I was in ECW. You know, it's just I don't think people buy that right now, and so I think I've adapted, and I'm having fun with what I'm doing. You know, but yeah, I still love it. I love it in a different way. And I've got the match with The Rock coming up, and I've got my wheels turning. You know, I take a lot of pride in what I do. And I don't think you could do that unless you really love it.
I think that's the other thing that makes you stand apart in this day and age, too. Don't you, Mark?
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
Definitely, because
a lot of these guys were just picking up a paycheck, man.
Well, not only that, but the fans can tell. Fans can tell whether you love what you're doing or if you're just going through the paces, be it the wrestlers, the referees, the managers, whatever. The people really pick up on that.
You know Rip Rogers pretty well, don't you, Mark?
Not as...
I mean, slightly well, right? Well, there was a time when I was getting set to wrestle Kevin Sullivan. I was going to do some dastardly act to him, and it was like a week or 2 weeks before I left to work independently. It's when I was leaving WCW in '94.
Right.
And I was a little concerned about it, and I asked Rip. I said, Rip, I really don't want to, do this on television because I'm going to be an independent, and I really want to go out with people liking me. And he said, with Kevin Sullivan, he goes, Kevin Sullivan's the least sympathetic character ever, to step foot in wrestling, which wasn't a knock on Kevin, just saying that he's not a baby face, he's not a good guy. I said, what about Dave Sullivan? He's sympathetic, and Rip goes, the people know he's just milking from the company. Sometimes we don't give him enough credit. That there are times when you can only, sugarcoat something so long and so far before people say, hey, this isn't. I mean, I think the thing with Warrior and Hogan is a pretty good indicator of that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah, that buy rate they were expecting, they got half of that. So.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Shoot.
Since you're really good friends with Kevin Sullivan, and this is just coming off what Mick said, how the heck in his earlier days did he get over as a babyface?
Oh, wait, I've got an answer for you.
Go ahead, Mick.
You know what? Arn Anderson said it best about Kevin Sullivan. He said most of this company, I do a very poor Arn Anderson, he said most of this company is filled up with guys who can't work and want you to think they can, whereas Kevin Sullivan is a guy who can work and wants you to think he can't. Because his rationale is, and I saw it firsthand with me and Kevin against the Nasty Boys, he would go out there and put on performances that were so bad that they would never ask him to do anything anymore. Mm-hmm. And then when the cameras were on and it was his turn to do something, he can flying head scissor, he can drop kick. He says he only drop kicks, every time there's a Democrat as president. So which I guess means, when Kennedy was president, when Carter was president, when with Clinton. He was a young, fiery guy, wasn't he, at one point?
Yeah, yes, he was. Absolutely, and you're right. And what you said, I had heard that comment that Arn had made too, and I was just going to say the same thing. Contrary to what people believe today, back then he could work, and he still can, I guess. In
his own style.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we got him over well, and out of Knoxville with Southeastern Wrestling. He was a strong babyface for us in there for a couple of years. Yeah, and he and Mike Graham had a hell of a run in Florida.
Yeah.
So they were over good. We're going to have to take a break, guys. We've got a couple callers. We'll be back with Mick Foley and Mark Curtis right after this here on All Sports 1360. Homer. All right, we're back on Wednesday Night Main Event with my favorite theme song, along with two of my favorite professionals in our business. Guys, we've got some callers on the line. We're going to run a speed round here. We're going to get to these callers and get their questions and move along. Let's go to line 3. We got Bradley from Middletown. Bradley on All Sports 1360. What's up?
Guys, how the heck are you? Happy holidays.
Hey, thanks, Brad.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
I got a comment to Mick.
Yeah.
Don't get down about your music because once that CD cuts off, then we're going to get what we paid for.
Hey, I'm with you on that one.
So, I caught the King of the Ring and all that.
You know what? I've seen some wrestlers get by on their music.
You're right.
For
right.
5 years.
Well, I think The Godfather is a perfect example, but anyway.
Move along, yeah. Okay, Bradley, let's get with it here.
Okay. I was just going to say...
Well, Les, he's trying to,
He's putting you over, Mick. I know.
Free him up, right?
Well, Mick's kind of down on himself today. So, anyway, I wanted to comment about Hulk Hogan and all that. Obviously, wrestlers are now getting involved with a lot of the creative direction of the companies. In my opinion, I think that's probably a big mistake because it's just going to turn into, again, the Hulk Hogan show or the Kevin Nash show or the DDP show. Isn't it their job to basically sit back and say, okay, what do you want us to do? Rather than, oh, I don't want to do this because I don't feel like it. I mean, doesn't that hurt their commodity-wise as far as if they wanted to jump ship?
So what you're saying is what? Too many cooks are spoiling the stew?
Exact. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Yeah. I don't think. I think it's good for guys to have some creative input.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if one guy has too much power, that's probably not a good thing.
Right.
Unless it was me, that would probably be a good thing.
Then we get that damn music changed.
Yeah. We'd have some new music in a hurry.
For real. No, Bradley, I think you're right. That was the original concept. What you're saying, like Mick said, have some input, but basically do what you're asked to do.
You have to have a check and balance the system there.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the reasons WCW is having so much problems with their storylines.
Right.
15 guys going in 15 different directions.
Yeah. No. Real quick. Now, if in fact Hogan is going to leave. Isn't the whole point of the NWO moot, I should say? I mean, what's the point of having an NWO now? Isn't Hogan create the credibility for that whole group?
Well, actually, I think
Hall and Nash are the ones.
Sure, they started.
Yeah,
right, but I think with Hogan jumping in there at that pay-per-view, and he did his big turn, I think that really made everybody sit up and look.
I think people were looking; they just looked a little bit more.
Right.
But I also think that Hall and Nash would be able to build back up on it.
Yeah.
Well, I think Monday night Mark, don't you think Monday night we saw a stronger Nash show than we've seen in a long time?
Oh yeah.
So that would indicate to me that he's got a little more input behind the scenes now, anyway.
Right.
Which would give a little more credence to this thing that Hulk's going to do tomorrow, or supposed to do tomorrow night on Leno's show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. Bradley.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
Hey, thank you,
Brad.
Let's go to line 2. Herb, you're on All Sports, 1360 Homer.
Yeah, I got 3 questions for Mick. Okay, do you know, in like 93, you and Sabu had a match in Las Vegas where, it was a cage match. Do you know where I could get a tape of that? And...
Can you hear him, Mick?
No, I can't.
He said was it 93 you're talking about, Herb?
93 in Vegas.
93 in Vegas. You and Sabu had a cage match?
That wasn't 93, was it?
I don't know.
That was 94, 95.
Okay, well, anyway, he wondered if you knew where he could get a tape of that. Was that one of Herb What's-His-Face's shows?
Herb, no, that was T.C. Martin. Yeah, I saw a copy of that. Someone taped like 6 hours of things. It was a neat tape. This was stuff that I hadn't seen before. It was a lot of stuff that I did independently. A couple of FMW things and some of the stuff from Las Vegas. I would assume RF Video or Mayfield Mayhem out of Pennsylvania probably has a copy of that somehow.
And they've both got websites, haven't they, Mick? I think.
I think so.
Yeah. You computerized there, Herb?
Yep.
Okay. Well, then you could probably check them both out.
Yeah, and have you ever been when you were in Japan? Did you ever get attacked with Mr. Pogo's sickle?
Did I ever do what?
Get attacked
by Mr. Pogo's sickle.
Mr. Pogo's sickle.
Mr. Pogo. No, I only had one match on the same card as Mr. Pogo, and I didn't get attacked by his sickle. I used to take Ray Miller's sickle, right, Brian?
Almost as deadly.
That's when Nikita Koloff, he used the Russian sickle.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Big Ray, I guess he liked diving, because Ivan's a Russian nightmare, or he was the American Nightmare, Ray Miller.
Yeah. God bless his soul.
Yeah, rest his soul. He died after a heart attack. One of the nicest guys you could have met, too.
Does that do it for you, Herb?
Oh, yeah. Do you hate Wayne Canamera?
Do I hate him?
Yeah.
Why?
Didn't he, throw you through some, spider net glass platform?
Wait.
The spider net glass platform, did he throw you through one?
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, but that was part of the match, That was, the goal was through there. I think actually on the abuse scale that I probably abused him worse than he abused me. And it was funny, I had never met the guy before. I'll tell you what, that was one of the matches on that tape, and my reaction when I watched that match is, man, I used to really earn my money. That was a hard one. He was a good wrestler. He's very good. No, I don't hate him. I don't hate too many people.
Let's go to Ross on line 1. You're on All Sports 1360 Homer.
Hey, I was the guy that called earlier about the, remember about Tammy Lynn and,
Yeah, right, Ross.
All right, I know you guys are short on time. Mick, you ever thinking of joining the Job Squad now?
Some people would say I've earned a lifetime achievement. Look at my one-loss record, I'd probably belong in the Job Squad Hall of Fame. But I don't know. I think they've got their own little deal. I guess I was kind of on the fringes of them week, but I don't think I'll ever fully join.
All right.
Let's go to Robert on line 3. You're on All Sports 1360 Homer.
Hey, Mick. I know you're short on time, but I just wanted to say that I think you're a great wrestler. I'm a big fan of yours, and I don't care what Mr. McMahon does to you. I hope you kick his butt sometime.
Yeah, I think his mouth has Mr. Sacco's name written all over it somewhere down the line.
Hey, Les.
Yeah, Mark.
Shane Douglas just beeped in.
Yeah?
You say he's been trying for the past 40 minutes to call through, except there hasn't been a line open.
Is that right?
So he's still trying to get on.
You tell. Is he on your?
He's gone.
Oh,
now.
is he gone?
Yeah.
Did you happen to get his phone number before he went this time?
No. I was trying to get back on with you.
I hear you.
One more question.
Go.
Mick, are you planning on joining the Job Squad and having them help you kick Mr. McMahon's butt?
Wait,
I would really like you to do that.
Yeah, the young man before just asked that question.
Right.
I said, I think Job Squad's a strong enough thing without me. Except for those people who've always dreamt of a Mankind Dwayne Gill reunion.
I don't know, Mick. I think we're all, you, me, Les, and anybody else who loves the sport nowadays, we're all part of the Job Squad, aren't we?
That's true. Anybody who hasn't lost a lot of matches really hasn't wrestled. That's why I feel so bad for Goldberg sometimes. He hasn't experienced the unbelievable highs of...
You have such a way with words, Mick.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I look at it like, General Robert E. Lee is one of the most famous military, tacticians in history, and really, he got destroyed. So I feel like I'm kind of like Robert E. Lee, very glorious in defeat.
Yes. Listen, guys, we're about out of time. I want to thank you both for joining us tonight. Damn, I wish we could have got Shane on here, too.
Yeah.
Maybe we can catch him at home where we can set this whole thing up and do it the way we had planned to do it initially instead of him going out trying to earn money like normal folks.
What's he doing on a Wednesday night, right?
He's working for an independent somebody.
Yeah, he was working for Mike Mantell. Do you remember him?
No.
Dickie's old partner?
Who's?
Dick Flanagan's.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the night I ripped Dick's head open?
Yeah.
His partner, Mike, the big guy?
Yeah, I remember Mike.
Yeah, well, he was running a show at the school where he is a football coach or a wrestling coach.
Oh.
So him and Cody and a whole bunch of them went down for that.
Well, we'll try and set this thing up again and get the three of you on here. I want to wish you both a great Thanksgiving tomorrow. Say the best to both your wives, your families.
Thank you, Les.
And Mr. Mark, I'll see you on Sunday.
Cool.
And Mick, when you're in the neighborhood, you got a place to stay, brother.
Do I have about 20 seconds for a short story?
Shoot it.
I'll make it real short. I bought a dog kennel for my dog. The dog wouldn't go near it, and right now my son is sleeping in the kennel.
Oh, my God.
And the dog's in his bed, right?
No, the dog's laying down next to him. But he's in there with his pillow.
All right.
Yeah.
Listen, you guys, have a great Thanksgiving.
Hey, thanks, bud.
Thanks for being with us.
WCW Cincinnati. 1360! The home of Monday Night Football. This is ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.